She had her sister's face, her sister's voice, her sister's husband, her sister's children. She had everything her sister ever owned, except one thing. And that one thing, that single forgotten detail, was going to destroy her completely. If you are new here, subscribe now, because this channel tells the stories that the living are afraid to speak about. But that was before everything went wrong. In the town of Oguta, tucked behind a winding, dusty road and bordered by a lake so dark it swallowed reflections, there lived a woman named Adaeze. And everyone who met her said the same thing. She was radiant. She wore her Ankara wrappers with a confidence that made market women pause mid-sentence. Her laughter arrived before she did, warm and musical, filling a compound the way morning fills a room. Her husband, Emeka, was a quiet man who had built a respectable block structure at the edge of town. Their 3 children were healthy. Their generator ran every evening. On Sunday mornings, Adaeze sat in the front row of St. Michael's Catholic Church, hands clasped, head covered in a white lace veil, singing hymns in a voice that made the old reverend tear up. The neighbors said God had favored this family. They said it without envy. They said it the way people say things they truly believe. But something was not right. It started with old Mama Chisom, the groundnut seller who sat beside the gate of the parish every Sunday. She had been selling groundnuts in that same spot for 31 years. She knew every face in Oguta the way a mother knows her children's footsteps. And the Sunday she first saw Adaeze, something shifted in her chest, a slow, cold turning, like a key in a lock she didn't know she had. She could not explain it. She only knew that she had seen that face before. Not Adaeze's face exactly, a different version of it, longer in the jaw, quieter in the eyes, with a small scar above the left brow, curved like a crescent moon. That night, Mama Chisom went to her box, the old biscuit tin she kept beneath her mattress, and pulled out a photograph. It was faded and soft at the edges, the way photographs get when they have been held too many times. In it stood 2 young women, identical in height, similar in feature, one laughing, one not. The laughing one had no scar, the quiet one did. Mama Chisom stared at that photograph for a long time. Then she placed it face down on the mat. And that was only the beginning. Children notice things. They do not understand what they see, but they see. Adaeze's youngest, a boy of 4 named Tobena, had started waking up at night and standing at the foot of his parents' bed. Not crying, not speaking, just standing there with his eyes open, looking at his mother's sleeping form. When Emeka asked him one morning why he kept doing this, Tobena tilted his head and said, "I am waiting for Mama to come back." Emeka laughed the way fathers laugh at things that confuse them. He ruffled the boy's hair and called him a dreamer. But that evening, he watched Adaeze for a long time across the dinner table. Her hands moved differently than he remembered, slower, more deliberate. She no longer ate ofe aku. She used to love ofe aku, used to scrape the clay pot clean with her fingers and laugh about it. Now she pushed it to the edge of her plate and asked for plain rice. He said nothing, but he noticed, and things got worse. There was a small storeroom behind the kitchen. Adaeze had padlocked it 6 months ago. She told Emeka she kept old clothes inside, things from her village she wasn't ready to throw away. He had believed her because he was the kind of man who believed his wife. But the house girl, a thin teenager named Ngozi, had pressed her ear to that door more than once. What she heard was not the silence of old clothes. It was breathing, not frantic, not animal, just slow, measured breathing, the kind a person makes when they are concentrating on something difficult. And sometimes, very faintly, a sound like two voices speaking at the same time in slightly different pitches. Ngozi told no one, because she had seen what happened to people who spoke about things they shouldn't have seen. But someone was watching. The elders of Oguta had a saying, "A woman who borrows another woman's skin must remember, skin has memory." Nobody said this to Adaeze directly, but an old woman named Lolo Ifunanya, who lived alone near the edge of the lake and was known to read water, had begun sitting outside her hut at dusk, facing the direction of Emeka's compound, just sitting, watching. One evening, the Reverend's wife stopped to greet her. Lolo Ifunanya did not return the greeting. She only said, slowly and without turning her head, "Tell the man of that house to check what sleeps in his storeroom, before the rains come, before the finishes what she started." The Reverend's wife walked faster and told herself the old woman was simply eccentric. She did not pass on the message. And then the rains came. There had been two sisters, Adaeze, the elder, and Nneka, the younger. They had grown up together in a compound in Imo State, the daughters of a palm wine tapper who died before they were old enough to remember his face. Their mother had raised them on prayer and borrowed money. And when Nneka, the beautiful one, the laughing one, the one who never stopped moving, caught the eye of a young engineer named Emeka Okafo, their mother had wept tears of gratitude. Nneka married Emeka. Nneka built the house. Nneka had the 3 children. Nneka sang in the front row of St. Michael's and scraped Ofe Aku from the clay pot with her fingers. Adaeze watched from the edge of things, the elder sister who received nothing. And one dry season, Adaeze disappeared from the family compound and came back 3 months later, changed. She walked differently, spoke differently. Her eyes had the flat, purposeful quality of someone who had already made a decision they could not undo. What happened in those 3 months, no one fully knows. But there is a shrine, it is said, deep inside a forest, 2 hours from Oguta, tended by a man who does not speak, only listens. And what he offers costs more than money. It costs likeness. It costs history. It costs the thing that makes you, you. Nneka disappeared 6 weeks after Adaeze returned, and Adaeze stepped into her life like a foot into a waiting shoe. She had her face, her voice, her mannerisms. She had almost everything, but she had forgotten one rule. Skin has memory. The first night of the heavy rains, the light went out across the compound. Emeka was asleep. The children were asleep. Ngozi, the house girl, was not. She lay on her mat in the kitchen, listening to the rain hammer the zinc roof, when she heard the padlock on the storeroom door click open. She should have closed her eyes. She did not. Through the thin gap beneath the kitchen door, she watched candlelight move across the corridor floor. She heard footsteps, Adaeze's footsteps, stop outside the storeroom. Then she heard something that made her press her fist against her mouth. A second voice, coming from inside the storeroom, thin, distant, the way a voice sounds when it travels through water. You forgot the rule. You forgot the rule. You forgot the rule. Over and over, rhythmic, patient. Adaeze's voice answering in a hiss. Be quiet. Be quiet. Be quiet. Then silence. Then the sound of something being dragged. Ngozi did not sleep that night. She did not speak the next morning, but she packed her things and left before sunrise. What happened next changed everything. 3 days after the rains, Lolo Ifunanya walked to Emeka's compound for the first time in her life. She stood at the gate and called his name 3 times. When Emeka came out, she looked at him the way people look at the victims of accidents, with sorrow and with urgency. She told him to sit down, and then she told him everything. She told him about the shrine in the forest, about the man who does not speak, about the trade that had been made. She told him that his wife was not his wife. She told him that the real Neka, his Neka, was not gone entirely, that a stolen face cannot fully silence the soul it was taken from. That Neka was still there, folded inside the storeroom, the way a letter is folded inside an envelope. Small, compressed, patient. Skin has memory, Lolo Ifunanya said. The stolen face is slowly remembering who it belongs to. That is what your son sees at night. That is what the child is waiting for. Emeka did not speak for a long time. Then he asked, "Where is my wife? Where is the real Neka?" Lolo Ifunanya looked at the storeroom. She is not gone, but if you wait until the next dry season, she will be. What happened inside that compound in the days that followed, the neighbors would speak about in low voices for years to come. There was screaming. There was a fire that started and stopped on its own. There was the sound of something that was not wind moving through rooms where the windows were closed. When it was over, Emeka sat in his compound with 3 children around him and a marriage that no longer existed. The woman who had been living as Adaeze was gone. Not dead, not arrested, just gone. The storeroom was empty. The padlock was on the floor, open, its key nowhere to be found. And Neka? Some say she came back slowly, like a woman waking from a long, strange sleep, disoriented, thin, blinking at light that seemed too bright. Some say she remembered everything. Some say she remembered nothing. But every person who saw her afterward noticed something. The scar above her left brow had returned, curved like a crescent moon, as if her own skin had remembered. If you are watching this, understand something. There are shortcuts that look like blessings. There are doors that look like opportunities. There are bargains that look like mercy. But nothing taken by force ever truly becomes yours. Not a face, not a life, not a name. Skin has memory, and so does truth. They say Adaeze was seen once, years later, in a market in Onitsha, standing still while people moved around her, wearing a face that did not quite fit, too tight around the eyes, too loose at the jaw, like a mask worn one season too long. The woman who saw her said she tried to call her name, but Adaeze did not turn around because she no longer knew which name was hers. Until today, nobody in Oguta walks past that storeroom after midnight, because sometimes on quiet rainy nights, if you press your ear to the door, you can still hear a voice repeating the rule she forgot. If this story gave you chills, drop a comment below telling me, whose face would you never want to lose? Like this video, share it with someone who loves a good mystery, and if you are not subscribed yet, you already know what to do.